Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. We are so happy for a brand new season with a brand new league. The Shoney Doghouse Cup Series is prepared to start off a new season. Not officially going to be points racing here tonight, but it's going to be the 2024 Season 1 Clash here tonight for the Sony's Clash at Nashville Fairgrounds. We're happy for this new partnership with the Doghouse Racing League and with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, your new home for Thursday Night Cup Series action. It's going to be a fun one overall. We got over 20 drivers about to be registered and ready to race here tonight. We got heat races, we have LCQs in the main event later on this evening to see who's going to win the Sony's Clash, to see who's going to get it all done here this evening. And we're all excited for it all here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is going to be Zach Hall, as well as Zach's going to be with me for the majority of the season. Zach, it certainly is a crazy sight to see having the Clash at Nashville Fairgrounds, but as well a brand new league for a new year.
This is definitely super exciting, Sam, man. I am on the edge of my seat and getting ready to get this started here tonight, man. Not only because, like you said, a new league, but a whole new format and everything. This is, I think, our first time doing an open setup league, so that's going to be a thing I think a lot of folks get to learn is how setups work in these next-gen cars and how that's going to change the racing week in and week out. So I'm very, very excited to see how it's all going to perform here tonight to start off with this Clash race. But I tell you what, no better place to start it off than Nashville Fairgrounds.
It's been about, I believe I counted it right, since we covered a league in the next-gen vehicles. It's been over about 7 months since we started covering a league. And what makes even tonight even better, the next-gen cars got a little bit of new remodel. As you can see on screen, the Ford's got a new look, so do the Toyotas, and a brand new league for us to give you all the coverage for. It's practice currently, but later on, after practice is done, we're going to have drivers having qualifying, heat races, LCQ, and then the main event. And Zach, like you said, open queue. It certainly is going to be a fun one to watch how these drivers are going to be racing here tonight. But as we go down the track side, you're already seeing the drivers, the last-minute practices before they get ready for qualifying.
They get these last-minute little bit of laps in here to get that filling in, make sure they have the right balance for qualifying, because that's the one thing you're going to probably see is the biggest difference is we can see people that are very quick in qualifying who have maybe found that speed with the setup this week in that short, one lap dash and are able to get that speed out of the car. Then there'll be others that maybe will come through during the race that have that car that's better perform for that higher or for that longer run with the higher temperatures in those tires. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but these final few minutes could be critical, Sam. You never know. That final few last click that you could make in that setup change could be what finds you the speed for this pole position.
As you can see, new cars, new schemes, and for us, new drivers to get used to. We got to see a little preview of the Doghouse Cup Series a few weeks ago for their Daytona 300, where we got to see Andrew St. Cyr get himself the victory for that race. But drivers are now going to be giving us their showings of what short tracks racing here for this league. And drivers know this could be a very important race to build up momentum and confidence before the season starts. As seeing some of the drivers already the trickiness that's showing out there, Zach, with the slipping and sliding.
Slipping and slide is definitely going to be real. This is a tricky track, folks. It is bumpy. The surface is old. That equals a lot of tire wear and a lot of fall off. So I'm going to see who's really mastered tonight with not only the setup but also the driving, because you get offline just for a few moments here, you put yourself in the wrong part of the racetrack, you could be going for a ride very, very quickly. So they're going to have to stay on top of that, but they have a lot of practice tonight. That's the thing about it. You got this little bit of practice left here, then we go in the qualifying, but those heat races that we're about to see after this qualifying session, those will be great practice sessions for each of these drivers to get their car dialed in for that final run to the end of this race to see if you can get that elusive win. I mean, no points on the line, nothing like that, but I will tell you this much. There's a lot of bragging rights and a great way to get some momentum start for your season.
It certainly would be a massive bragging rights feeling if you can get it done here tonight. This practice is coming to a conclusion. Qualifying is just going to be a short 3 minutes for the drivers to put down their fastest time, and they got 3 laps to do so. And as we're closing in on the qualifying, do want to give a shout out to our amazing sponsors for the Doghouse Cup Series. Shoney's as well going to be the major sponsor, who is going to be the title sponsor for the Doghouse Racing League. They're a proud sponsor to be having with them. We'll touch more on Shoney's later on, and as well with affiliated with the Doghouse Racing League. That's Fanatic. If you'd like to help support the Doghouse Racing League, go down in the description and click on the link to go Fanatic to check out your sportswear needs. All purchases and commissions go straight to the league to help out with funding the league, as well as rewards to the drivers. And as well, presented by for the Cup Series, it's Group 6. If you'd like to go Group 6, where every race is an opportunity to outshine and outperform, discover more at group6inc.com. We'll touch more on all those 3 amazing sponsors, but first, qualifying, as this is going to be the way that drivers set up for how they're going to be lined up for their heat races. You want to be up front, as past seasons have shown. The driver that's up front that leads the most laps find themselves in a victory lane. The driver that's been there the most, it's Jonathan Jennings in the 91 machine, who has been on a tear trying to continue on with the championship ways. Last season's champion, trying to carry forward and going for the pole.
We'll see what he can produce right here. First lap around 18.154. That right now is going to put him in the second position. Jamie Horn in that 98 is going to hold on to the top spot, but Gary Kloon coming in with a fast lap on his second lap. So we'll see if the third lap's produced for people, or will it be that second or first lap for others?
Gary Kloon comes in as your 2023 Rookie of the Year award winner at 45, trying to go for a championship to be crowned as well, with the other awards that have been grabbed, as seeing Jennings is going to be third on the board currently, 8,000 faster as Kloon. That is some quick pace, but again, these drivers putting down some fast times, and it's going to be a quick swappage. It looked like it was going to be Daniel Wilkerson, but Jennings steals it right at the end.
Just like that, and I'm not surprised. That third lap should be the best one, especially if you built the setup for it. Those tire temperatures should get into the perfect range, and those tires should be up to heat, and that's where the speed has come from in the 91 machine as he holds on to the top spot. Like you said, only still it for a brief moment there to Daniel Wilkerson, who looked like he might have had it, but it was Jonathan Jennings, that defending champion, who jumped back up there. Looks like Tyler Millette. He jumps up into the top 5 there, Sam, as we're watching the 99 here of Jonathan Smith try to put some laps in.
Jonathan Smith going to be one of the last drivers trying to go qualifying here tonight. 36 seconds left on the board as lap 1 gets placed for the 99 machine. Going to be 14th fastest currently, but again, these drivers are racing for heat races. Your top 3 will be the leaders in getting the pole award for their designated heat race. We're expected to have 3 heat races if needed, and as well 2 LCQ, last chance qualifier races as well after this. Expected all drivers that have shown up here tonight to be able to race in the main event, but this is all about qualifying, positioning, and putting some practice laps in. Jonathan Jennings right now with the pole, as Jonathan Smith trying to best that time, and across the line, going to be just good enough for 10th. But quickly, as we spin, practice is done, as well as qualifying. Let's get into heat number 1. As with the amount of drivers that have shown up for tonight's race, we will only have 2 heat races in total. And here's going to be your starting grid for heat number 1. Jonathan Jennings going to take that pole award for this first heat, as Gary Kloon going to be in second. Tyler Millette going to be in third, with Chris Leftwich going to be in fourth. Going to see that of Leroy Colblet is going to be in that of 5th. 6th is going to be Michael Skimna, as well as Bill Gentry going to be in 7th. Mark Dumont going to be in 8th. 9th is going to be Mike Leftwich, as well as going to be seeing the 55 and 10th. And Eric Warman going to be your 11th place driver. And seeing the drivers getting prepared for this race, going to have 11 in this first heat, Zach, and going to be exciting to see how we can get to see the first type of racing in first open setup racing here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
I'm so excited. 20 laps here. This is going to be a straight up sprint race. So I want to see how aggressive they are. Like, how much risk is going to be thrown into this race here early? this is a perfect time to test your setup. It really is. There's no better time than to have it with other cars on the racetrack with this similar tire advantage as you. This could really show who's to watch for later in this event than tonight.
Already, decision's going to be made as Jonathan Jennings wants to take the outside row here on this launch, and I'm not surprised by that, especially when we come to a short track with such high bankings. The outer lane's going to be the more preferred position to be in as the field gets prepared to get rolling. These heat races, we're expected to have 2 here tonight, 20 laps each, and if we have a caution flag in a wreck come out, those caution flag laps will not count. So this race, if you have a lot of caution flags come out during these heat races, it could turn into, instead of the laps, it could come down to time. Well, the field is stacked. We're ready to go as we are ready for racing action. The Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the Shoney's Clash is underway for heat number 1, and Jennings as well as Clune get the best launch for themselves moving forward.
It just shows starting on that outside line, such an advantage there for these drivers, as it was Chris Leftwich who started 4th up to 2nd here early, as now there's some drivers slipping up there farther in 3 and 4 up the racetrack.
As up front, it's the 91, but drivers know you got to be inside of the top 6. Top 6 drivers automatically advance to the main event. Don't have to worry about the LCQ. And currently, that bubble driver going to be Leroy in the 42 machine. Other drivers trying to get themselves sorted the best that they can. But honestly, some of the best battling currently is everyone battling for the backpack of the pack.
And it looks like Mark Dumont in the 14, he had gotten to the wall there. That slid him back as you see him slide off of turn number 2 there down in the 3. And this is the 9th and 10th position in the 8th battle here.
Oh, trouble!
Wreck.
It's going to be the 8 machine. Going to be seeing Chris Leftwich go for a little bit of pirouette off the exit of turn 4. Luckily didn't hit anything, but a good spin in front of the field brings out our first caution of the night.
Like you said, Sam, luckily did not hit a thing, but that was very, very close there with the inside wall, almost making driver side door contact there. You can see that last moment of it as we'll bring back this replay, and you'll get to see exactly how this played out. Was running in that 2nd position after that great start from the 4th spot up top. It goes into 3 and 4 here, and just a little too much. This car just breaks free, and that's common mistake you're going to see here tonight off of 4 and off of 2. But look at that, great job. Maybe just kissed it with the left rear there, but no major damage, it looks like, concurred from that.
A great spin, slight tap, not going to be losing too much time. And for these drivers, again, as we are under caution, these laps will not count. So the drivers know, hey, at least we have 16 laps to go when we get back to green flag racing. And for Chris Leftwich, he's got a lot of work to get back up front, as our ticker's going to be having a little bit of influx because of the fact that these caution laps don't count. Kind of was going to be freaking out at moments as they crossed the line. But Zach, this field showing, you know, already from what we saw from practice, the exit of the corners looks to be the toughest part of this track, and that was already kind of being discussed in their Discord before tonight's race started. Of this is going to be a tough racetrack to just hold on to.
It really is. You talked about the high bank nature of this racetrack. It is. It's very high banked, as you can see as they come off of 4 there, as they put in these pace laps. But what happens is, as you come out of that high bankings, you got to go into a flat surface of the straightaway. And as the car comes up out of that corner, it's going to unload. The weight's going to be lifted off the tires. And when that happens, it is like pretty much someone takes their hand off your shoulder and you just want to go for a loop at that point. It's just the grip level drops so drastically quick as you come out of that banking onto the flatter surface that these drivers are just having to hold on to it the best they can as we're getting some of the weather conditions shown here right now on the screen.
As it is going to be a cooler night for these drivers. Ambient temperature going to be 65 degrees. Track temp 68. That is very cold and slick that these drivers are going to have to try to build some heat into. And the wind really not there. It's very gentle breeze that the drivers are dealing with. So perfect conditions for nighttime racing. We'll see how this may change moving forward for these drivers as we're racing at Nashville Fairgrounds. These drivers know it's one of those racetracks that's not traditionally ran with these next-gen Cup cars. Drivers actually were saying, hey, is there even a setup that we can work off of? And everyone went off the base setup and made their own settings on how they wanted to change things from there. and it's allowed them to have their differentials on how they wanted this race to be ran. But it's all Jonathan Jennings. Great launch on the inside, trying different spots on these restarts, and it works out for the 91 to already break away from Clune and Millette.
Great launch, but Clune is able to get up the second this time of the battles for that third spot. It's Michael Scamilla up top as Tyler Millette in the 94 makes the great pass up to that third spot, but it's going to be the 3 looking back to the inside down into 1.
Trying to stay in line as we're right on board with the 94 of Tyler Millette. Trying to figure out where the banking is going to be best to place yourself. And these laps, if we stay green, can go quick, and they are wrecking behind. It's Michael Scamilla that goes around, bringing out her second caution flag of the night as the drivers slow down and try to race to the pace car.
And that right there was about similar to what we've seen off of 4 for our first caution of this race. The second one going to be pretty similar conditions, Sam. He just fell in line behind that 94 as we saw him battling going into 1. You know, we'll get to see here on the replay exactly how it played out, but here he's going to look to the inside of the 94 with that good run. Going to have that lower side, but I will say, look at the drivers in front of him running up higher on the racetrack, and that's to help to turn off the corner and just late exit. All the grip is gone, and that's going to be a common sin that we see tonight.
I know, Zach, with that change of so much banking to the flat surface, that weight shift, I know that's something we're going to talk about a lot with this car because the weight shifting seems to affect these next gens a lot more than the other machines, but that is, like you said, what we're going to be seeing a lot here tonight. And I think the field recognizing, okay, this could be building up more and more. We got to be staying in touch with one another as race admins want to get us back to racing here quickly, as they're going to be shortening this caution flag by 1 lap. So expecting to get the 1 to go marker here when they cross the line, get us stacked up and ready to take off. And Zach, for later on, I know that we still have 14 laps to go when they go green, but later on tonight, 125 laps these drivers are going to have to deal with. That's a lot of laps that they're going to have to try to handle these vehicles. But luckily they got 2 sets of tires. I think that's going to be a fun factor later on tonight to talk about.
That is going to be the fun factor. Only 2 sets of tires to work with. That is going to make things very, very interesting to say the least. So when you take your sets of tires, it's going to be a great question to have. And this little bit of this heat race here can be a telltale sign for those tire wear. So got to use what information you can build up. But here goes the pace car in.
As the driver's stacked up, ready to get back to rolling. This is heat race number 1 of 2. We also have an LCQ later on, and the driver's getting slightly stacked up behind our leader as Jennings waits until the very last moment to take off. And that change in factors on when to take off and go really did jostle up the rest of the field as our front 3 are in line, everyone else stacked 2 by 2.
It really did jostle up that field, man. Gary Clune was just caught off guard by how late that was and just couldn't get going, held on the third as he's watching the battle behind him before Bill Gentry trying to go forward with that 42 of Leroy. Out on his outside, contact is made.
Going to be pushing Leroy to the outside as that 42 machine able to hold on for now, but now's forced into that 6th place position as moving forward, it's Gary Clune. In 3rd place is Tyler Millette, feeling confident up to 2nd position, and these drivers already showing these cars can take a beating, and they're willing to use those elbows to move someone a little bit higher if they need to take that position away, as aggression is building up, a little bit of a tap, and Chris Leftwich doesn't want to just settle for 6th place.
Remember, at one point, Leftwich was in that 2nd place position, already making a lot of that ground up from that early spin and just showing he's got a strong race car here, able to make that pass nice and clean on the bottom. Is, you know, we talked about getting the elbows out. Well, I think that's one thing that's going to be awesome about having the next gen is we do have a battle for that 7th position going on too with Eric Foreman. But we're going to see a little bit more of that with these cars, Sam, with how much they can beat and peg with each other.
Got fenders, might as well use them, but you don't want to get in a wall like that. Eric Warman going to get into the outside wall, just tried to overcorrect slightly, and that's going to be giving Michael Scamilla an opportunity to take this position. That is for 7th place, and for Michael Scamilla, again, top 6 drivers automatically move on, and oh no, around goes Warman as Dumont just cleans by, and that will be bringing out another caution flag. This sets us up, Zach, for a little bit of a shootout here before this race is done. As again, caution flags do not count. It's going to be 8 laps to go when we go green again.
It will be very interesting. Again, that same similar condition of that loose off of 2 and off of 4. These corners just really biting these drivers hard. And The one thing with it being an open setup league, you can make changes to help those conditions. So there is changes out there that these guys can make. And if you got these final few laps, if you got a car that's just not handling right and not launching on these restarts, why not come down, make a small little change on that car? You have 6 different options in pit road to make changes. You got both or all 4 tires you can adjust and lower and raise the air pressures, which each of those tires can have an effect with how it changes the balance of the car. And then you also have 2 spring offsets in the left rear and the right rear that you can change that really have major effects to the balance of the race car. So it's really interesting with these open league. I think we're going to see a lot of that and how people can make adjustments throughout the race to get better.
Who can find that better consistency to take off and move forward? It's going to be something to watch out for, as it's our 3rd caution so far for heat number 1. We've also have a 2nd heat after this. More drivers waiting in the wings to take off and have a chance to have a great run for themselves. You've also going to be seeing later on of Daniel Wilkerson as well as Jamie Horn. Horn was one of the faster drivers during practice. I'm excited to see what the 98 has in our next heat, as well as Justin McMahon and a few other drivers just waiting for their chance. And what's always interesting with heat races is usually whatever the first heat race does, the opposite happens in the next. We'll see if that 2nd heat race can be clean and green all the way through, or if we're going to need a little bit more assistance. Pace car into pit road, and green flag is out for heat number 1. Once again, Jonathan Jennings already gone and dusted in front of the field. The battle for 2nd is underway.
Tyler Millette, pretty good restart on the bottom, able to hold on to that 2nd position. That's key for him there, as he's got Gary Clune all over the rear end. Is this going to be Chris Leftwich, the one looking to go forward in the 8 machine? Remember that early spin? He's fighting for a top 5, maybe going to top 4 soon.
Trying to figure out how to place yourself, as Jennings able to keep the nose ahead. Went down one of the fastest times of this heat, but was it enough? As well, seeing Chris Leftwich, that monster machine inside, making the power move, pushing up that of Koblitz up just a little bit too high for his liking, and now it's going to be giving Skimmy a chance to move up into 6th. That's the cutoff spot the drivers are fighting for. The 42's just been bullied so far in this heat race, trying to find a spot to slot back in, and finally does so in 7th position. But that bullying motion, something we're going to see later on. 6 laps, make it 5 laps to go in heat number 1.
Oh, big loose up front, the 4, Bill Gentry, and he's going to make contact at 2 with the 8, and it's going to send Chris Leftwich around. Yellow flag is out, and that's detrimental for that 18.
And Chris Leftwich gets pushed around and ultimately going to be spun around for himself. The 8 had all that work and effort to get up to 5th place, was trying to get it past 4th, and just was not enough, as you're going to see the 4 machine of Gentry get loose, backing down, but it's the entry of turns 1 and 2 that things go awry for the 8.
Unfortunate there, Sam, is the 4 there getting into the back of the 8, and that's going to send him around, and we'll see how Leftwich can respond to this. He's not going to have many laps. He may have to go to that LCQ. Luckily for his sake, he will be making it tonight, so the LCQ, more than anything, it'll just hurt your qualifying position starting in that main event, but also it could get you a little bit of time to, test and tune on that race car.
As well, with the timing of that incident, Bill Gentry going to be penalized for being at fault for causing that incident. So the 4 will be sent to the end of the line with an EOL penalty. And staying up front is going to be Jonathan Jennings, who, like we talked about during qualifying, the driver that leads these races for the Doghouse Cup Series, mainly known for being the driver that finds themselves in victory lane. And Jonathan Jennings continuing on with that trend during the 2023 Season 3 season, which was the last season these drivers ran. There were only 3 races of the 11 that it wasn't the case where the driver that led the most laps got into victory lane. And the majority of those were super speedways, so I'm not surprised by that. But this league showing, hey, if you've got a dominant car, you worked on it all week because of the open setup of this season and series, hey, it's going to put you in a great position to get into victory lane.
I think that's a great point, Sam. With it being an open setup league, I think, the driver that shows they have the fastest car, is going to be tougher to beat them on those nights, but it does give you opportunities to work on that car and find the speed you need here. It looks like we're going to go green.
We're going to go green. We're going to go single file restart here, and Jennings has got to be loving that because he's already gone over 3 car lengths down into turn number 1. With less than 5 laps to go, these drivers single file it out, but it's Tyler Millette. Doesn't have to worry about a controversial entry into turn 1. Instead gets a great launch at turn number 2 and right on the back bumper of the 91 machine, as well as other battles that are going on. This is the battle for 6th place. Can Mike Leftwich hold back the fighting power of the 14, or will the 60 be able to move forward? Because there are some strong drivers that are trying to move forward 3 wide for 7th place, trying to close in on the cutoff driver of the 60 machine, and it's going to be Chris Leftwich trying to catch up to his dad, but oh, it's going to be not enough. Caution flag is out with 3 laps to go.
And that right there is going to continue this on, and Chris Leftwich just got a little bit of help with that for sure. That's definitely going to help out at 8 machine. Going to put him 1 position behind his father, like you said, and see how the family rivalry goes there for the battle to get in. But looks like the 4, either a Bill Chintry or it looks like maybe even Eric Warman might have been the driver's call.
Looked to be Warman and Dumont getting into one another. It was Mark Dumont that got slid sideways, and with oncoming traffic and being over 45 degrees sideways, that's what's going to bring out our caution here tonight, as the drivers were hoping to get this race done over lap time, but I believe because of the amount of time that was ran here, Zach, that is not going to be the case. I believe this race may be finishing out on just a quick green-white checkered here, as we have the pace car into pit road, and they come across the line, and that will be the race here tonight as they ran out of time.
That they did. You see, it was green flag immediately to the checkered flag. So yeah, out of time for that heat. Looks like it was going to be the 91 who brought it home.
As Jonathan Jennings gets to enjoy victory lane, we head down to heat number 2 as the drivers get set up and ready for this next heat. It is excitement still in the air. Just 1 heat down. We got another heat to go. And as well, we've got ourselves an LCQ if needed, as the drivers that qualified on your 2nd through 4th, 2nd, 4th, 6th, all those positions were the drivers on your evens. We're going to be the drivers here for heat number 2. We're going to be led by Michael Wilkerson. Jamie Horn is going to be in 2nd. Justin McMahon going to be in 3rd. 4th will be Seth Fitzpatrick. Jonathan Smith going to be in 5th, with Gary Armio going to be in 6th. 7th will be Eric Anderson. Andrew Cork going to be in 8th, as well as Steven Bonomo going to be in 9th place. 9 drivers expected to run here tonight, and Zach, a little bit of a smaller field. They got a good picture of how this race could be going down after being that 2nd grouping to watch, as they get prepared to take off this next go around.
I think the one thing that you brought up from the first heat there is how one heat will be, usually at least in heat racing, from what I've seen in my past history too, that correlates to what you've seen too, Sam, is you'll have one heat that just a lot of cautions and that yellow flag will wave, and now we could possibly have a heat here where we don't even see that yellow flag have to be taken out for the flag stand. So they're trying to prove that maybe this is the cleaner heat for themselves.
Hey, you can take little, trophies for you going through these races. It's the pole sitter going to be Daniel Wilkerson in the 78 on the outside that we right on board with. Came away 3rd last season in the Cup Series. How will he finish out here to start out 2024? Let's find out. Already with a great launch, it's going to be Jamie Horn in the 98. Great launch on the inside lane, side by side, and Wilkerson brushing the wall off the exit of turn 2.
Big mistake there from Wilkerson as he's dropping back through the field, and that's going to be huge right now with him back in the P4 position. But another driver almost up to the wall. Andy Cork is the 24. Justin McMahon goes around.
McMahon comes off the exit of turn 4, almost identical to what we saw with Chris Wilkerson during heat 1, but overcorrects and goes with a different style of sliding off the exit of turn 4. But here's kind of the action, the way it builds up. 3 wide off the exit of turn 2, and it just kept on building up more and more. That we thought maybe this 2nd heat was going to be cooling down. It doesn't, and the 24 gasses it up and loops the 24 round.
Oh, such an unfortunate spin there for that 24 machine. It just really stepped out sideways on Justin, and now he's going to have to figure out how to get back through and get some of that track position that he has lost. But wow, another little bit of a spin catching these drivers off. It's gonna be interesting when we get into that main event here later tonight. Will they be able to tune that out of the race car, or will they gonna have to just deal with that as we go through the night?
As the drivers and as well all race controls are trying to get this race done as quickly as possible. Main reason why the admins are trying to cycle this race to 1 to go as quickly as possible, because they recognize, hey, if a lot of cautions build up, we can have the same scenario that just happened with Heat 1 where they run out of time. Currently, they've got 13 minutes left to finish out this race, and we're only just a lap down. We got 19 laps to go, going to be 18 when we get the green. Zach, time seems to be the big factor here for heat races and the LCQ later on after this one.
It very well seems to be that way, Sam. So we'll have to keep up with the time, and that LCQ. Nobody's going home here necessarily tonight. But the big thing for me is those couple positions you could gain in the LCQ by finishing better could be a big difference for your race later tonight when you get to that starting gear.
We still have ourselves finishing out the Heat 2 that we're watching currently. We've got a LCQ, potentially 2 last chance qualifier races after this to make the main event 125 laps later on tonight to see who will win the Shoney's Clash this evening. Into the restart zone, we're green. Outside lane gets a great launch, a little bit of a wiggle though, as Horn keeps it together. Rest of the field, they stay jostled and compact down into turn number 1.
Very close action there from second on back as Seth Fitzpatrick holds on the second. It's going to be Gary Armajo in front of that 78 of Daniel Wilkerson there as the battles. And driver sliding up into the wall. It's like, again, the 41 of Andy Cork just having a tough time getting back in the field.
Cork is going to continue to have troubles if he keeps on having that vehicle, and it looks like there's just no turn in for the 41, and he might have a broken piece to the 41 machine as we watch the battle for 6th place. The driver's trying to move up. That's the 9 machine. Steven Bonomo trying to move forward and will do so as we see Eric Anderson falling back to the clutches of seeing that 24, Justin McMahon, who was caught up in our first incident. Self-spin, the 24 staying low, trying to move forward, get to the cutoff spot as the 9 and the 24, only our top 6 move on to the main event. Otherwise, you got to fight through the LCQ. Big save in front of them, though, as Jonathan Smith has a scare.
Everybody having those scares, man. It just doesn't seem like anybody's able to find any stability here. But right now, that 24 on the mission made it up to 6, so he's clearly in. But all round goes the 7 of Gary, but he holds on and saves it. We stay green, and that's worst case scenario for him.
Oh, no.
He spins it out, getting it back through the gears.
Gets back into the first gear, gasses it up, and away the 7 goes. And the more that he slides back and forth, the more that we're going to be seeing that heat build up as Gary Armo going to be getting up to speed and finally moving forward. No caution flag is thrown. We stay green, 13 laps to go as Jamie Horn looked like the most dominant driver looking at the pace from practice. Almost got the pole for the Heat 1. Had to move over to Heat 2, and this 98 in dominant form moving forward.
Definitely in dominant form right now. Looking strong out front, just pulling away when it comes to lap times. The driver's behind, but here's the 7 dropping back through on those hurt tires. And here comes the 78 of Daniel Wilkerson, who had an excellent qualifying job of starting first in this heat. But after that really botch of 3 and 4, just dropped him way back here. But luckily, able to make his way back up to the 3rd spot. We'll see what the lap times can do here late in the run to see who's got what going into that main event.
Justin McMahon qualified third for this heat, able to get by the 99 and Justin Smith that we were right on board with. The 24 looks to be on a mission. Had that one mistake as we now mark the halfway of heat number 2 and marching forward, trying to grab every position possible. Again, every position that you advance forward inside of our top 6, it's a better spot that you'll have going into the main event of our Shoney's Clash later on tonight. So each driver knows they've got to move forward. The last driver in that cutoff spot, be right on board. It's the 43 of Eric Anderson. Just trying to run a smooth race, and honestly, the 43 looking pretty smooth and trying to just stay out of the outside wall.
Very, very impressive right here in the 6th position for Eric, and got to stay here if he wants to not have to go to that LCQ. Right now has about a 2-second gap back to Steven in the 9, so it's sizable. Anderson just needs to hold on, and this heat doing a good job of everybody just holding on to the cars. And as the tire temperatures start to build up, in my opinion, Sam, and the heat gets points build up and the grip levels come up, these drivers are going to have an easier time coming off those corners. So not surprised once we've had a few green flag laps back to back, these guys have gotten it going well.
Solid driver in pit road. That's the 41 of Andy Court. Just too much damage. He was forced into pit road. Going to be having to see how the LCQ goes for the 41 machine. Also, Gary Armo going to be stuck one lap down back in 8th place. And these drivers, even if we get a caution, the 7 would not even get a waiver round to get back on the lead lap. So they're going to be dealing with the LCQ. Jonathan Smith in 5th place. Not a bad place to be currently. That's the 99 with 5 laps to go. Just needs to make sure his nose is ahead of Eric Anderson and also Stephen Bonomo. But leading up front, it's Jamie Horn, Seth Fitzpatrick, and Justin Daniel Wilkerson and Justin McMahon. Your top 4 have been looking very smooth, all within 4 seconds of one another with 4 laps to go.
And been watching lap times, the impression I'm getting here is Seth Fitzpatrick has a pretty good little race car, folks. At 28, having some good lap times there late in the showing here against that leader of Jamie Horn. He was able to better him the time before, but this last time around, it was that 98 of Jamie Horn just a couple hundredths quicker than Fitzpatrick. But still, nonetheless, Fitzpatrick showing strength here in this this heat race that could be something to look for later in this event tonight.
2 laps to go, and that of Gary Armo going to be having to go forced into pit road, acquire damage after a hard collision on the backstretch. 2 laps to go, but with 2 laps left, it's looking like it's all Jamie Horn, as we'll see the freaky fast white flag in the air for the 98 machine, and the rest of the field able to conclude and finish the Heat 2. Didn't have to go based off of time, as driver up front is Jamie Horn, and looking very strong. Like I said, Fitzpatrick also looks quite as strong in the long run. We'll have to wait and see how these drivers fight back and forth for the main event as they've qualified for it. And joining with them will be Wilkerson, McMahon, Jonathan Smith, and Eric Anderson as they cross the line.
Great finish there for that heat race. Jamie Horn showing his dominance there. Fitzpatrick looking strong late. Same with Anderson as the laps were quicker that final lap. Then the leader up front, Jamie Horn. We'll get to see how it's all going to shake out with those drivers later in this event, but it looks like we got about a 3-minute warm-up here now.
It looks to be. We are completely skipping LCQ. Everyone qualifies, and they just get a warm-up session for themselves. And under this warm-up session gives us a great time to shout out the amazing sponsors for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Shoney's Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's All-American Kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. And a huge thanks for Shoney's for joining on board. And as well, if you'd like to help out the league here for the Doghouse Racing League, they are partnered up, affiliated partners with Fanatics. If you'd like to go check out sports merchandise for many different professional leagues, from professional soccer to all the wide range of sports, go check out Fanatic. And remember to use in the description the link there. Use that link. Any purchases you do will give a commission that will help out the league and the drivers. And it's so great to see you partnered up with Fanatic, with the Doghouse Racing League, and as well with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. They are presented by Group 6. Group 6 is a place to go help out, partner up, and show off your website, as it's a website to push out your own information about yourself and company. Go on over to group6inc.com to go get more information and discover how you can be pushed forward with Group 6. Well, Zach, 1 minute left in the warm-up. We got to see 2 heat races, a little bit of practice. I know you've been also trying to figure out this car. What have you noticed so far that these drivers need to be prepared for as they set up for 125 laps here tonight?
Well, the biggest preparation they need to be ready for is these cold tires again, Sam. It seems like that is what was catching a few guys out. Lower air pressure. And what can happen with that low air pressure is, especially on these shorter tracks like this, you can run the air pressure so low, just trying to find the surface area and the grip on the tire there. And it can kind of actually cause the tire to actually bottom out in the rim. And when that happens, you can have these very sudden losses of grip. And I think maybe a few of those guys fighting that condition just need to find that heat, build the tire temperature, and then find where your car balances from there. And then they can start to worry about those car adjustments before they really start to think of things. But we'll have to see who has what here going into this race, because it could come down to who has the car built for the short run versus who has the car built for a long run.
Well, we are so excited to be partnered up with the Doghouse Racing League for their Thursday night, presenting the Shoney. It's Doghouse Cup Series presented by Group 6. And it's been a long coming partnering up with the new league. We're excited to be having coverage on Thursday nights, and having a Next Gen Cup Series car is just as exciting. Tonight, it's the Nashville Fairgrounds. The drivers get prepared for the Shoney's Clash. Everyone that registered in is prepared to race for 125 laps. As your pole sitter award going to be given to the 91 of Jonathan Jennings. Jamie Horn going to be in second place with Tyler Millette in third. Fourth is going to be Seth Fitzpatrick. Gary Clune going to be in fifth. Sixth is Daniel Wilkerson. Michael Skimia going to be in seventh. Eighth, give it to Justin McMahon in the 24 machine, as well as Leroy Koblitz going to be in ninth, and Jonathan Smith going to be finishing out our top 10.
Starting in 11th is the 60 machine of Mike Leftwich. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be Eric Anderson. 13th is going to be Chris Leftwich in the 8 machine. 14th is going to be held by Steven Bonomo. 15th is going to be Eric Warham. 16th is going to go to Gary Armajo. 17th is going to be Bill Gentry. 18th is Andy Cork. Rounding out our 19 cars lined up here for the field tonight is Mark Dumont.
And on our screen was the way that the drivers qualified. From qualifying, the way that we just ran down the listings audibly was after the heat races were done. Jonathan Jennings, the driver that's got the most wins of anyone in the career of all the different leagues and series of the Doghouse Racing League. The 91 now knows how to get into victory lane, and hoping to do so to start off 2024, as was not able to get it done for the Daytona 300 a few weeks ago for their fundraising race. But tonight, it's on the schedule. It's the Clash. It's the pre-race before you get ready for all of the magic of Daytona, with qualifying next week, as we'll be giving you the coverage of qualifying and the duels to set the grid for the Daytona 200 on February 8th for the official start of the season. But this is a momentum builder, and all these drivers know that. 19 have taken the grid for tonight's main event. Nashville Fairgrounds is pumping. We're ready as well. 125 laps. Caution flags will count. They got 2 sets of tires in pit road, and the green flag is out for racing action here tonight. Jennings, Horn, side by side, and it's going to be Jamie Horn with the better run on the outside, but Jennings gets the better center off. The 91 with the better run and takes the lead.
Jamie Horn, though, what a job on the outside line. I thought for a moment he was going to have the advantage, but it was Jennings just too strong on the bottom, as now it's going to be Millette in the 94 trying to find a way to hold on to that third position as the 28 is Seth Fitzpatrick. Fights hard on the outside, but they're on single file here for about 6th on back, but they're wrecking big time.
Tyler Millette gets spun around as the 94, and the rest of the field starts to have gridlock on the back stretch. 4, 5, 6 drivers completely stopped on the back stretch, and it was the 94, just a little bit of a slip up, and the rest of the field finds themselves trying to slow down.
Man, Sam, that's so unfortunate. We had multiple different things playing out right there. Not only was Tyler Millette, getting loose coming off of the corner there and getting a little bit of a kiss from the 28, who really couldn't do anything, but also behind him, it was that 3 machine of Michael Skimia just getting loose, and from there, he got into the 24, and you could see here the logjam of cars just piling in, and just unfortunate to see here on the first lap or second lap of this race.
Drivers just being spun around, trying to stop the best that they can. And luckily for the field, they know, hey, even with that carnage, a lot of the drivers able to get minimal damage, so they weren't heavily involved in getting enough damage to be forced into pit road. As the field, majority of them, again, are going to be able to stay out on track without heavy damage, but a few have to come into pit road, and the worst of it going to go to Jonathan Smith, the 99 machine. Required damage has to come into pit road. Unfortunate for the 99 machine. Other drivers that hit pit road going to be Gary Armio as well as Chris Leftwich, going to get some repairs done for themselves. But the big difference between the main event compared to the heat races is the fact that these caution laps are going to count. So if we have a lot of cautions that build up, this race could be over very quickly here, Zach.
It really can. Those caution laps counting will have a way quicker effect to that lap count. You know, that thing's going to start to really go up quickly. And if we get a long green flag run, it's going to go up quickly too. So that's going to make things not only itself interesting, but the one thing I do question is if we go fully green here, I believe we should have enough fuel to make it all the way. So I don't think fuel's going to be any concern, but the tires is what these drivers are going to be thinking about the most, especially when we get down later into this event with, you know, only 2 sets of tires in pit road.
Only 2 sets to work with. Drivers are still coming in pit road, getting service done, and they are not being forced to, drivers, because they're dealing with damage. Race admins are not forcing the one to go immediately, which is kind of nice for the drivers that are coming into pit road to get service done. But for those that already grabbed damage under that first wreck, it's going to be tough to come back from if they got any engine damage. Looks like majority of them, though, is just cosmetics, which you can work with at a short track. It's all about keeping your horsepower at 100%. Otherwise, you are at a huge disadvantage for these straightaways you do not want to be dealing with. But Jonathan Jennings, Jamie Horn, what a restart we got to see there at the start of the race, Zach, and it just makes me more excited for this next restart. It is going to be a mad dash down into turn number 1.
It really is. And I also want to make a correction to something I said there. 70% fuel load here tonight. So I don't think we will be able to make enough fuel here. With caution laps, it'll get closer for sure. But if we were to go green, I think these guys would have to pit still. So that's something we'll have to watch out for, folks. But let's see how this restart shakes out here, Sam. Horn was so good last time, but I think that's because they had to go on green. Let's see if Jennings can get the jump on him this time.
Jennings already proved under that first heat race, willing to change up that takeoff zone. Doesn't have to take off immediately, can wait until being delayed. And it looks like it's an immediate takeoff for the 91, as Horn just was not able to predict that takeoff zone, and instead we'll have to settle back. But a great center up. The 98 is right back to that back bumper, but they're spinning again, and it's Mike Leftwich that goes around.
And head first into the wall with the nose of that 60 machine, and just again the common syndrome of those cold tires on coming off of 2. Drivers just trying to get a little too much, and even just coming over the bumps here. So we'll get to see this replay as they go into the restart zone. You see the 60 of Mike Leftwich there. That 4th car in that bottom lane. Not the greatest restart from him. He's going to head down here side by side with the 42. A Leroy here, and it's just going to see the bumps. You can see the car, the nose just popping, and those bumps upsetting that car there, and just not able to hold on to that machine here to bring out this next yellow.
I mean, Zach, are there any adjustments that you could potentially make in pit road if you decide to come in now that may help with those bumps? Or are you kind of stuck with whatever you've already done with your setup coming into this race?
Personally, if the bumps are having that much effect already, Sam, to the race car and it hopping that bad, a lot of that is itself the racetrack, but that comes down to also your spring package. What kind of spring package did you bring? What's the how stiff, how soft are your springs? And those are things that unfortunately they're not going to be able to change. Now the tires, I will say, the tires do act as a spring itself, with the give and rebound of the tire as it loads and unloads. It actually does act as a spring somewhat itself, so you can make small changes there, but there's always been a rule of thumb, at least from the guys who taught me back in the day how to build setups. If you got to make more than half a pound or a pound of air pressure adjustment in your race car, then something is off deep inside the setup, not your tire pressures, because those right there can make not only small changes but huge changes to the ride heights, which can have other effects to the race car. So you don't want to be tweaking too much on those tire pressures, but you definitely have lots of options still available, and maybe that's something these guys are going to be thinking about. But I think mostly what they need is some heat to build up in those tire pressures just to get a little bit more air in.
Hey guys, if you haven't gotten used to it already, you better get notes ready. Might have a quiz at the end of the season with the amount of knowledge Zach is going to be spitting towards us on how to get these cars set up, and the drivers are working on throughout the week to get prepared for race in, race out. As tonight's race, again, it is the Shoney's Clash. It's the pre-race before the drivers get ready next week for qualifying for their Group 6 200, their Daytona beginning race. Next week, we'll have qualifying, the 2 duels to set up a lineup for the Daytona race that will be 80 laps, 200 miles on February 8th, before they have an off break for February 15th, and they're back for the season to be fully ramped up February 22nd. And a lot of different tracks that they're going to be tackling, such as Daytona, Iowa, Atlanta, going to be the first 3 racetracks these drivers have to deal with once the schedule officially starts. And certainly 3 very dynamic tracks that they're heading towards, Zach. But this first season that we get to cover, it's going to be a lot of knowledge for us to learn, not just on the cars, but the drivers themselves, getting used to some of these names and the fast drivers to watch out for, and who's going to be growing throughout the season as well. It's going to be a fun picture to watch.
That's what I'm gonna love to see. Who's gonna grow and also learning the names. Like Sam said, just give us a few weeks and we'll get those fixed up, because I know I've already butchered a few, as it takes a little bit of time sometimes with those names. But we'll get them correct, and we'll be ready for the rest of the season.
I mean, it's always fun when you get a new league, but it's nerve-wracking. Like you said, new names, new faces, got to get used to it, and you got to handle those nerves sometimes. As we're back to green flag racing, and up front, a great launch for that of Horn. Rest of the field, they're trying to settle in off the exit of turn 2. It looks like we'll be able to make it through and take it back. They're already smashing into one another. Multiple spins and wrecks as drivers are not letting off of one another. And oh no, where the heck did the 8 machine come from?
Yeah, continuing on there, that wreck for a good while. There's, I think the 8 was missing another wreck that was happening farther back, and he was trying to hold on to it. As you can see, actually, from his view, he's going to be missing this wreck, and it just loses the rear end, and then look, he's going to just pile into this. So, unfortunate to see, but it all started around the 9 of Stephen Bonomo, and it really just kind of stacked up from there. As it just, I think the 9 kind of up into the driver on the outside of him.
Going around, looping, loses the rear end, and was hoping to spin out, and that loss of momentum by spinning out was going to slow down the 8 quick enough. Wasn't able to do so. And Chris Leftwich going to get some heavy damage, as well as Mike Leftwich, the 60 machine, calling it a night already. Going to be our first official DNF of our main event here. And you hate to see Mike Leftwich go away so early. You know, he was dealing with some heavy damage. A lot of drivers in the back dealing with some heavy damage after these couple of wrecks. And Zach, I mean, just showing this track is tougher now than what it was during even the heat races.
It really is. You add those that much more cars out there, there's a lot less room to make those mistakes. And that one was a simple one. It looks like 2 drivers kind of going for the same real estate. The 42 didn't go up nearly as high as I think the 9 thought he would off of 2. That caused Steven to get up into Leroy, and from there those 2 got into it. That kind of spread throughout the field. But yeah, this is good. These guys better get used to cold tires and the heat recycles of getting them going, because I think this is going to be a little common syndrome here tonight. This track on the more difficult side for sure.
As the field gets themselves ready for this restart. Currently, your top 5 going to be Jonathan Jennings, Jamie Horn, Seth Fitzpatrick, Gary Kloon, and Daniel Wilkerson. Those 5 drivers we know can be quick and are going to be the threats here if we get some green flag racing, which we're expecting to happen at some point here tonight. It's not going to be constantly caution after caution after caution. It's going to calm down at some point. We just don't know when it will. But the field is short track racing for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. If we take a look at last season, majority of the races that were at short tracks, there was anywhere from 4 to 6 cautions that would build up from those races, but majority of the race was under green. So we know that this field can produce green flag racing. It's just the hiccups of a new season are always there. Also the addition of a few new names for the field to get used to.
Yeah, that for sure can have a huge factor. Not only that, but this Nashville Fairgrounds, I mean, one of the more difficult tracks. This next gen car too, it's all about the aerodynamics of the grip underneath the car, and the floor actually is what generates a lot of the grip of these race cars. And when you have a bumpy racetrack, that really affects the underside airflow of that car, with the car going up and down, slamming into the racetrack, and that it just causes a lot of issues and a lot of sudden losses of grip. And I think that's what these drivers are experiencing here tonight. So we'll see how they can manage it, but I think if they get some tires or laps underneath the tires, they should be good to go.
Build up that heat, and it might help out as the field ready into the restart zone. Green flag is back out in the air for the Shoney's Clash. And it's going to be Jonathan Jennings with a better launch like he's been doing all night long. But the exit of 2 deeper in the field, who can survive? And it looks like Horn gets right on that back bumper, but oh no, there they go. It's going to be Dumont spun around, but keeping it clean and green at the moment as we got 3 drivers stopped on the back stretch. But we continue to stay green. No yellow flag has been thrown as those 3 drivers are able to get up to speed.
That it is. No yellow flag as Dumont, you see, are still slow, but getting it back going as we've stayed green here. It's Jonathan Jennings up front, though, with Jamie Horn, Tyler Millette, or sorry, not Tyler Millette, Seth Fitzpatrick up here all over this 91 machine, putting the pressure on our past champion.
Trying to put the pressure on and showing some great speed is the 98 and the 28 as we're seeing Jennings still lead the charge as Dumont is forced into pit road. Same is going to be for the 99 of Jonathan Smith, who is going to be the second time forced into pit road with required damage. Hate to see that for those 2 drivers. Other drivers that were involved with that incident look to be Stephen Bonomo and as well the 8 of Chris Leftwich. The drivers that were involved with that incident that did not bring out a yellow. As we fall back to the watching of 5th place runner, it's going to be Daniel Wilkerson as, never mind, we got a caution, and oh no, it's Justin McMahon going to be stuck on the outside of wall and has to take a tow to pit road.
Yeah, 24 there, stuck on that outside wall, and just unfortunate for him, as like I said, had to take a tow, and I don't know exactly what happened. Just seems like the car, something broke, and I don't know if this is a one of those times where, you know, this is online racing, folks, and you got controls and all types of stuff with the computers, and sometimes computers mess up. Well, I think this might have been one of those situations. He's going through the corner, and then all of a sudden just veers off to the right and comes to a stop here and tows. So good job at least keeping the car up against the wall and getting out of the way of everybody, but that's a scary moment for sure.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly happened, because it looked like he was running just fine and then just went up into the outside wall. Such a bizarre incident. Even when I was doing a ride-on in the cockpit, it didn't really compute on what happened. And sometimes, like you said, just mechanical issues could arise of just something technical could have hit with either their racing rig or something in the computer. That easily could be one of the factors that brought out the incident for the 24. But a few drivers going to be added to the calling it a night here this evening with Mike Leftwich. That is going to be Mark Dumont as well as Justin McMahon. Both going to be calling it an evening as they both have left the server. It's going to be leaving us with a total of 16 drivers here this evening. They're going to be hoping to stay out on track, but Jonathan Smith still in pit road. See the 9, Bonomo getting out on course, getting ready for this restart. The field, those that are on the lead lap, going to be 14 in total. And Zach, I know in the chat we got fans for the 9 machine. It just has not been his night so far to start out this main event for the Shoney's Clash. Kind of has been the magnet around some of these incidences.
Yeah, Bonomo has not been able to get out of the mess here so far, as you see him in a little heat build up into the tires here for this restart. But hopefully that all clears up for the 9 team here. Is now you get to see what it looks like from out front, and this is a much more calming picture, I feel like, Sam, when you get to see no cars out in front of you. You just gotta hit your marks and run your laps. And right now, Jonathan Jennings doing everything perfect, but he's gonna have a threat here at some point. Jamie Horn, Seth Fitzpatrick, and Gary Clune, all of them looking very strong here in these opening 28 laps.
They look extremely strong, and I think that's exciting when you see that there's competition that's willing to tackle and go after this 91 machines. Jennings has been the top driver in this Cup Series and almost all series that he runs in the Doghouse Racing League. For the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, though, Jennings having 32 wins of his 83 starts with 69 top 5s, 77 top 10s. He is the top dog when you look at the stats, as well as a multiple-time champion in many a different series. This 91 is the driver that everyone is chasing, but it's exciting when you have drivers like Horn, Fitzpatrick, showing that they've got strength here at a short track that people don't usually go to, which means you can translate, hey, what you learned from this track, you might be able to take on 2 other short tracks that we run in the future.
Not only that, but I think bumpy racetracks, older surfaces, the tires and the temperatures around everything, I think there's a lot you can take away from tonight, actually.
Pace car into pit road, into the restart zone, and we are back to green flag action for the start of lap 30 of 125 here tonight. Top two, once again, continuing on their regular pace. Top four going to be single filed as they exit out of turn number 2. And the rest of the field just trying to hold on as looks like Fitzpatrick almost giving the bumper to Horn. And Horn almost gives it to Jennings. Off the corner, slightly side by side. Quarter panel, Horn is there, down into turn number 1.
Great racing here. Horn going to shove it up the inside, and we'll see if it sticks coming off of 2. That's hard to do. But the drive is there for the 98 machine side by side through 3 and 4. And now the 91 having his first threat of the night. This 98 has came to play.
He really has, and all assistance you could give it to Fitzpatrick to kind of force the issue for Horn to have to make the push forward. But both drivers going to be slightly sideways off the exit of turn 2, down, diving into turn 3. They continue to drag race on these straightaways, but the fight continues to stay in the hands of Jennings, just keeping a nose ahead. That's all you need to do when you're fighting side by side, but that's the best chance Horn has had off the exit of turn 2.
It really was his best
Oh, and
opportunity
the wreck behind.
And as he said, yellow flag is out, and he was hoping that would have happened maybe in the middle of the corner where he could have been ahead.
And it's going to be the 31 of Eric Warman that's going to be spun around as he had Bill Gentry. Both of them got collected with one another up the exit of turn 2, and it's loose. The floor's trying to stay off of them, and you got to give kudos to that 4 machine. Did a great job slowing down in a very panic situation that some drivers aren't able to slow down in time for.
That was definitely an excellent job, and I think we'll get to see a good view of it here. See that 31 going off in the corner, sparking, hitting those skid blocks. He's going to go around the exit, and look at this Ford just barely tap him and do a great job of getting slowed down. That's a great explanation of how to avoid major damage. Great job by Bill Gentry there. You know, one thing that's interesting, Sam, is I've heard a lot of on-board laps with some of these guys. It looks like a lot of people coming to pit road here, or sorry, not coming to pit road. It looks like my scoring messing up, but just a lot of people really bottoming out with these race cars. I've seen a lot of sparks, and I'm not surprised with this bumpy race track. You got to get these cars nice and low to the ground to get the most grip, and on cold tire pressures, you got to have it as low as possible too. So these early laps are super tough when the car's bottoming out like this.
Yeah, the driver's trying to get into pit road to get service done. Chris Leftwich, who's supposed to be back in 14th position. It's been bouncing back and forth from 14th to the lead position, but he's not the leader. Currently in pit road is the 8 machine who just got back out on track, going to be on the lead lap, but again, all the way back in 14th position. Driver that got the Lick Dog spot, I believe, going to be given to Steven Bonomo, who stays in 13th on this restart. But talked about drivers, when you think about coming into pit road, as fuel could become very close, 70% on the fuel load. But Zach, there's one driver, there's a few that are on the lead lap that have made their stop. Eric Warman just took 4 tires and fuel on that last stop 10 laps ago. We had Michael Skimia as well as Eric Anderson, both making their pit stops. And if this pit cycle cycles through, this could be placing them up front if our leaders decide to pit when we get closer to that halfway zone.
It very well could work like that, and I'm interested to see what kind of lap times these guys have as the run goes on, and when we get these cautions and these heat cycles to cool the tires down, do the lap times come back to the tires? Because I know previously this next-gen car was very resilient when it came to heat cycles. You could be running lap times when the caution comes out, and then all of a sudden it would be 4 to 3/10 quicker just from the cool down phase during that caution run. So can kind of help bring back the life in those tires. And it's the one thing about this next gen car, you never know how much tire wear you actually are going to get and how much tires are going to matter. Usually these short tracks, it hasn't mattered too much, but we'll get to see if they do for the drivers farther back, especially when it comes to their strategy going.
Well, our top 5 has not changed that much here since the drop of the green for our main event, but everyone else from 6th place on back have had their own swappage of going back and forth. Currently, the biggest mover is Bill Gentry, up 10 positions from where they started. Currently going to be in 6th place, qualified all the way back in 17th. Your top 5, they are looming in wait for this restart as the pace car goes into pit road. It's Jonathan Jennings, also going to be Jamie Horn on the ready. It was Horn so close to taking the lead at the time into the yellow, just missed out, and Jennings Gets another try on the inside lane, but Horn, what a power move on the outside. The 98 gets it done.
Look at the grip. I was thinking if the 98 could just get to the outside of the 91, I felt like he had the advantage, and it showed right there. 98 with the power move on the restart.
And almost trying to make the pass for third place was going to be Gary Clune, but not able to do so. Instead, Jamie Horn gets the better takeoff on that restart, finds the grip on the outside, and I think Jonathan Jennings might be regretting not taking that outside lane for that restart, and now just has to watch as the 98 tries to pull away. And fourth place runner going to be Gary Clune, Rookie of the Year award winner from last season, and the 45 continuing to try to stay up front and try to set up to be a threat for this season. After having a great season last go around, a lot of top 10s, try to carry that over into top 5s into this new season.
What a job by him to do that, but you can see up there in the top right corner, that purple flashing up there, that's the fastest lap because, man, oh man, the 98 has turned the wick up a notch, folks. 42 laps into this race, running his 2 fastest laps back to back. Oh, my bad. This time another fastest lap. So it just shows you what the pace the 98 had in the bag. The question will be, is this hurting the tires? Is the 91 kind of playing a cat and mouse game to let him get out here and run his tires off? Or is this just the true pace of the 98? Because if so, this is a shot across the bow, I think, of a lot of folks out there knowing the 98 is this quick.
Well, I know based on practice, Jamie Horn was the only driver that was able to get down into the 17-second bracket. Everyone else was stuck in the 18-second bracket, including 1 lap in. So I think this could be the true pace of the 98, as well as we haven't really been able to see a long green flag run. The longest we've been able to go is 2 laps. This has already been the longest run. And at this point, we're seeing these drivers trying to space each other out. But it's Wilkerson, once again, kind of being the safety valve of everyone from 5th on back.
He really is. He's got to be in just the, he's guarding that position, and everybody from there on back is kind of stacked up, and just a great job by Daniel of keeping the pressure on him, and he's not making any mistakes. But here comes the 8 of Leftwood, so we've seen all night being very aggressive and trying to make things forward.
I mean, understanding, hey, this is not for points. This is all for fun here tonight, so might as well put the pressure on. And if this is the type of aggression we're expecting to see in the regular season, well, this 8's going to be probably the funnest driver to watch, climbing his way through the field. It's Chris Leftwich trying to advance forward, and also part of the drivers that decided to come into pit road, get service done, and tires. This 8 is looking quick with that fresh rubber underneath them, but the damage on that nose is what I'm most concerned about, because if there's any more extra contact, this 8 could be in some massive trouble.
It really could be, and not only that, with overheating issues, there's a lot of things that run into when you get damaged. You can see, look at that 3, the left front just sparking a little bit on that skid block underneath this car. That just shows me how close and how aggressive these guys are getting with the setups. You got to be that low, because if you're not hitting the racetrack, you're giving up speed, in my opinion.
And giving up speed was the battle for the lead. It looked like Jonathan Jennings was willing to just give up any time possible for those first couple of laps in that last restart. Once Horn got the lead position, well, it was almost up to a full second, being the gap is now down to half a second. It was down almost 2/10 at a time. But one little slip up from Jennings has built the gap back up to 4/10, but our 1-2 drivers are right there, and just sneakily staying behind is also going to be Seth Fitzpatrick in the 28, just waiting in the wings to pounce on these front 2 once they start battling.
These 3 really seem to be the class of the field right now when it comes to this run here. It's starting to stretch out a little bit, and like you said, it closed back in there for a few laps, with Jennings really starting to close back in the Horn. We'll see if Horn solidify, or does he have a car that's just really quick for those first initial 20 laps and it kind of falls off? It's going to be a question I think a lot of people have. But here you go, Bill Gentry made that pass, and now along with that, Chris Leftwich going to do the same to the 42 of Leroy Kovalets.
And it looks to be the 3 drivers that have had the biggest up and down from qualified, heat racing, even in the main event, moving forward together. That's Bill Gentry, also going to be the 8 of Chris Leftwich and the 3 of Michael Skimia, able to move forward as a group, and they'll continue on their own way as we're seeing drivers falling back. That is Leroy Kovalets that's really struggling on that outside lane, and he showed the same struggles during his heat race and heat race 1. And showing it here for the main event, just not able to stay down and defend that inside groove. Looks to be a little bit more in the I'm willing to give space. We're not even at halfway yet.
That's possibly what it could be. Maybe a little bit of understeer dodging to that car too, just not able to turn that front end as well. And that could have been coming down to a decision like I just feel more stable with the understeer in the car. If I loosen it up anymore, it just wants to break loose and exit. So maybe that's the thought process from the 42 team there. But seeing some great battling going on, and battle for the lead going on too, folks.
Battle for the lead as our top three have closed in even more on top of one another. And for Jamie Horn, losing a little bit of that rear end grip, and the lap times are so dramatically different from what they were before. A full second slower than their fastest times right now as our three drivers are on top of one another. Jennings staying low, able to have the better run, and Fitzpatrick was trying to help Horn to move the pass forward, but instead has to give up the assistance. Now pounces for second. Fitzpatrick, he has to pounce now, or Jennings might pull away after protecting those tires.
Jennings just looking like he's got the racecraft he needs right now. And that's just showing from a champion. No rush, sets on pole, gives up the lead, lets the driver in front of him kind of pull a gap, and then slowly, methodically pulls him back in and makes the nice clean pass. So great job by Jennings there. Now, like you said, can Fitzpatrick close in? Or did that, 98 just hold the 91 up enough to where Fitzpatrick could close in? Because I think the 91 right now, he might have this long run very much locked up when it comes to pace.
And that was something that I kind of talked with the drivers when we learned that this was going to be an open setup league. Talked to a lot of drivers on asking them what was their thoughts on their setup. How do you want to build your setups up? And a lot of drivers said, hey, I want it to be slightly loose, and maybe gradually the handling gets better as the long run progresses, but ultimately I want the speed to be in this car on the long run, not in the short run. And Jonathan Jennings proving it right now, is looking for a slightly looser vehicle. Maybe the handling wasn't there until the heat builds up, but now trying to pull away, but the lap times are almost dead equal between the 91 and the 28, as they're still keeping that gap equal distance to one another.
Fitzpatrick is really making a race out of this for sure, Sam. I was wondering if it was just the 98 holding that 91 up, but nah, these two are very close when it comes to lap times. Just a couple hundreds quicker was Jennings last time by. We'll see this time here when they cross the line again, a couple hundreds, but they're so much quicker than Horn, who right now, personally, running some of the slowest times in the field. He'd have to go almost outside the top 10 for Jamie Horn's lap times. So that 98 struggling, Gary Clune and Daniel Wilkerson, they stay with it, they can run it down.
And I'm curious if we can hop on board and get a cockpit view of our leader, because, went from clean track ahead to utter madness when you see going into the corners ahead of the 91. Right when they exit off the exit of these corners, you're going to see a big group of drivers that Jonathan Jennings is closing in on. And if we stay green until the 91 gets there, that is going to be a troublesome spot for a leader to try to get by. And that might be the opportunity that Fitzpatrick's waiting for to pounce with lap traffic ahead.
No doubt, Sam. This could be the exact opportunity. Just stay close if you're Fitzpatrick. Don't overheat your tires right now, because you're getting the traffic, and this is where, will the drivers in front of them lay over for Jennings, because they know this is a clash race. There's nothing on the line here, so, holding them up isn't too egregious. There's nothing crazy here to be mad about. But, man, I tell you what, they're getting so much closer, and with Fitzpatrick just matching lap times right now, this could get a little bit interesting.
I'll be wondering, what is this group of drivers that our leader is closing in on? This is the battle for 11th back to 14th that are on top of one another, being led by Steven Bonomo, who is having Eric Anderson just down the pipes of this 9 machine for the past about 10 to 15 laps. It has been a duel between these two drivers, but the 9 continues to hold back the strength. But our leader has finally caught up to this group before, and it looks like they're trying to run high. Let Jennings go onto the inside groove and make the power move. But those little passes in, if the 91 can't make these passes immediate, that is losing time and touch. And oh no, that's what Fitzpatrick did not need. A pass right in between the 28 and as well as our leader.
Yeah, all the time he gained, it kind of all got taken away with that there. And I think he's actually going to lose some time now with him being side by side with this lap car, Eric Warman here in the 31. So losing out is now, it's going to be the 91 up to the next 2, and then just spaced out perfectly for Jonathan Jennings here.
And Jennings will be able to get by Eric Anderson. Now is going to have Steve Bonomo. Bonomo, who's been on the defensive, holding back 43. He's got to recognize this position he's in, will run high. And try to let our leader go, but Doug can't give up too much of that ground. He's going to stay close, almost pinching our leader, and that's because he does not want to give too much space back to Anderson for that duel for 11th place. As Fitzpatrick now going to be on the back bumper of the 9 machine, and we continue to stay green. Zach, this has been incredible racing as we're past the halfway marker. This field, like I said, that we were expecting to get some green flag racing at some point, and it's currently now.
It is going that way, like you said. At some point it was here, and right now it's here, folks. So we'll get to see how the battle goes down as Fitzpatrick has made his way through. But the thing I've been watching is Jamie Horn, who was fastest at the lap of the race. Such a quick car in the short run. That thing is struggling, Sam. He's back here in third, and look right behind him. It's Gary Kloon, and not too far behind Gary is Daniel Wilkerson. So right here, Jamie Horn could be really in struggle in here as this one goes on.
Trying to make these power moves as Horn just struggling at this moment, and through the corners you can see these drivers, they're under the lights, the brake rotors, they're glowing as they go into the corners. You can see in the rear end that orange glow. These drivers are really using those brakes, and that's hurting the 98. And the more that he uses the brake, that's more heat he's putting in, and if he's already struggling with heat in the tires, Zach, that's not a good combination.
That you're right, Sam, and when you see it, the rear brakes seem to be glowing a little bit more. That tells me he's got a lot of rear brake in this car. What's that's telling me? This car is just not turning. It is just understeery, and that's what makes sense for why it's so fast in the beginning. On those low air pressures, that car's hooked up, but as the air pressure builds up, it just gets too much rear end grip and too little front end grip, and that car just wants to push the nose as he goes through the corners here. So looking at second place of Fitzpatrick, trying to put the 41 a lap down.
Trying to get by the 41 of going to be Andy Cork, as now we officially have just 9 drivers on the lead lap, and if this race continues to stay green, we might only have 5 drivers left on the lead lap with how fast Jonathan Jennings is dominating up front. But for us up at the booth, we're going to take our 1 commercial break of the night. Give us a slight break, and thank you so much for joining with us. You won't miss any of the action as we'll go side by side, but you're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the Shoney's Clash here at Nashville Super Speedway. We'll be back right after this. Who's winning the Clash?
They're 5 wide behind her pit. Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, the corner gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Running productions in the backgrounds, Robert Moyer Jr. As you are watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, presented by Group 6. With the Shoney's Clash, the race before all the qualifying to start out the season at Daytona next week. It's going to be a fun one next week. Do not want to miss out Thursday here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Qualifying, the two duels, where will they be starting off before February 8th for the start of the official season for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series presented by Group 6. Thank you so much to Shoney's for being a major sponsor for the Doghouse Racing League. If you're in the West Virginia area, go check out the amazing breakfast bar as well as the amazing food. The Shoney's American Kitchen. Go on today. Thank you so much as well to Group 6. And if you'd like to help out the league financially, the best way to do so is to go make some purchases at Fanatic. Go check in the description for the affiliate link. All purchases, commissions go straight to the league to help out the drivers and any other league affiliate purchases that they need to make. Thank you so much for joining with us as the laps continue to knock away. The battle for the lead is still hot and heavy as Jonathan Jennings just not able to break away from the 28 of Stephen Fitzpatrick. You see the Mountain Dew machine? Well, right behind him is Fitzpatrick in the 28. Zach, this 28 just will not give up.
And the interesting thing is they're catching faster and faster lap traffic here. They're going to be coming up, it looks like, on Bill Gentry, Chris Leftwich, Daniel Wilkinson, all these guys here at some point, and a few other guys who are going a couple laps down. So this is going to be interesting. Here comes to the 4, and the 91's going to get side by side here on the exit. It looks like he's going to clear him, and it's going to be just enough. But can the 28 get through without getting held up is going to be the question. It looks like he's going to have a little bit of a cutoff exit here. That's going to hurt him just a little bit. But both of them losing about equal time through traffic here, but pretty much identical when it comes to pace, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's going to be the next to last drive that's on the lead lap. But Jonathan Jennings first, that's skipped by other lap cars that are going a lap down for the second time. Out of Larry Koblitz as well. That's going to be Steve Bonomo. Going to be staying high, letting our leader go in second place. As we look back, there's the Mountain Dew as well as the white 28 of Seth Fitzpatrick trying to make the charge forward as the laps continue to knock down here at Nashville Fairgrounds. As the field has been having a great one. If you're just joining us, well, you missed out on a lot of great racing action. We had 2 heat races, a little bit of a warm-up time, and it's currently underway with the main event of the Shoney's Clash to see who's going to win this first race of the beginning of a new season, you could say. The first on this schedule, but not a points race for 2024 Season 1 for this field, and it's been a pleasure to watch these drivers. For us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, new partnership. We can be covering these drivers throughout the season and getting to see some of the names, getting already to seeing the tendencies of some of the drivers. And right now, Zach, you can already tell the mental fortitude of some drivers, such as Bill Gentry, gets caught up in a wreck, but no give up on this 4 machine up to 7th now.
Definitely no give up, that's for sure. And that's what's going to take to this long seasons they have here. So got to stay with it. And right now, the drivers got to stay with it. We're on board with. This is Jamie Horn. He has got the most pressure of anybody on the racetrack, about 2 tenths behind him. It's going to be the 78 of Daniel Wilkerson. This is the battle for 4th and 5th on the racetrack. These two are going to definitely put on a ticket show here to the end. As Horn is holding on, Wilkerson catching up.
And Wilkerson is right on that back bumper, and Seth Fitzpatrick just not able to really keep it close enough. Now the gap is up to 8 tenths. As we look back from the 98 machine of Horn, Wilkerson wants to make this pass. Has been settled in 5th place all race long. Saw Gary Clune already make the pass up to 3rd, and Wilkerson wants this 4th place position badly at this moment. 78 has shown some great pace, has been up front at moments, but if they continue to see this battling between the 98 and the 78, Zach, they might be in the clutches of going a lap down before this race is done, because our leader just about 4 to 5 seconds back from these two that are battling, and each lap that goes on by, they're losing about 3 to 4 tenths each lap, which, the way that these laps are counting down, they might be going a lap down with about 5 laps to go.
That's worst case scenario for this driver right here, the 91. He does not want to catch the battle for 4th happening right in front of him. that would not be a pleasant position to be in right now as he comes to go by the 41 here to put Andy Cork a second lap down. And also there's the 8 of Chris Leftwich. He's looking to hold on to his lead lap spot, but I don't think he'll be able to do that for very long as he's got that leader of Jonathan Jennings right behind him now.
Right behind, 20 laps to go. About to be making it 19 for the field. It has been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here tonight. 107 laps in the book here this evening. As it's all Jonathan Jennings trying to grab another victory and notch it on the belt of so many in his illustrious career here in the Doghouse Racing Leagues. It's Gary Clune, Rookie of the Year award winner from last season, the 45, runs in 3rd place. Not a bad start for this season. The only thing that he could take as a negative is that he's 10 seconds, almost 11 seconds off of our top 2. But besides that, he's been having a great night here this evening.
Completely agree. Great night here. Kind of no man's land, and you'll take that sometimes when you're in 3rd here as the rookie coming back as a sophomore looking very strong.
Oh no!
The 94 is wrecking.
It's going to be Tyler Millette in front of the field contact. It's going to be with Smith. And caution flag with 17 laps to go. This changes everything because everyone's hitting pit road. And Zach, it's strategy time. Do you take 4 tires or do you take 2?
And I tell you what, we're going to see this replay of what exactly happened with this 94 machine here. It's coming down the back straightaway, and it's going to come off of 4, I think, here is where you're going to see the issue. And Millette, was 6 laps down and just unfortunately lost the rear end. Steps out and tries to save it, but just a lazy spin back across the racetrack and then nowhere to go as the car on the outside. It collects him as the yellow flag's gonna fly. And then you're gonna see a very busy pit road. Question, like you said, we're gonna see 2 tires, we're gonna see some changes. But the one thing I think about is how fast that 98 is on the short run. This is perfect timing for him.
Perfect timing, but he's so far back from the rest of the field. There's really not a lot of time to make up as there's the contact. Nowhere to go for Jonathan Smith. He's not able to get on the brakes quick enough, and hard contact for both of them. And Jonathan Smith, once again, required damage, forced into pit road after that incident. As the rest of the field, service done. 4 tires and fuel going to be for Jonathan Jennings, Seth Fitzpatrick, but you might notice on the grid, they're not the 2 leaders, staying out and going to have to come back around because they missed pit entry. It's going to be the 45 of Clune and Bill Gentry. They're going to be falling further back. It was looking like a good finish for the 45. Might not be that great right here.
It very well might not be the greatest, but we'll have to see, Sam. This is going to be fun now. I didn't know how this was all going to shake out once, they were coming down to the end, especially with Leftwich, the 28 of Fitzpatrick was just starting to lose a little bit of time, it seemed like. But it's all going to be now who can fire off and what changes you can make. That's the thing, we set these cars up for the long run, folks. That's exactly how they're built. You can make changes to help it fire off better. And what they're probably going to be doing is adding some tire pressure into that car to help that car just have a little bit more stability on takeoff and see if that helps them fire off quicker. If you make too big of an adjustment, you may be struggling at the end of this run.
As you can see, our race report, 6 cautions so far tonight under our main event. We've had 2 lead changes, seeing that of Jonathan Jennings up front for a quick margin, and as well, Jamie Horn up front leading this race. There's been a bounce back and forth between the 2, but second place to be Seth Fitzpatrick, and I'm curious if Jennings is going to learn from his past mistakes. The last restart, before we had that long green flag run, the 91 decided to take the inside lane, which kind of gave a complete opening for Horn to make the run on the outside, and it looks to be a similar choice. Giving up the outside lane is going to be Jennings. He wants the inside groove.
Ooh, he got bit by that once. Will it bite him once again is going to be the question with Clune, coming back in 5th there. What's he going to be able to do to try to get back up to 3rd? But we're going to see Sam. Lights are off. Pace car is going to get ready to pull off, and it's all going to be in the hands of that 91.
Welcome to Clash Racing in Nashville Fairgrounds as the Shoney's Clash is back underway. It's Jonathan Jennings going to get the better lunch for himself. Fitzpatrick could not keep up with the 91. Instead, it's going to be a car like the head, but watch out on the outside lane. Horn is flying for the 98.
up to third, and he's going to be the one they don't want to see up here. They know that 98 has some great fire-off speed, or does the 91 and the 28 have something in their back pocket? But the 78 and Daniel Wilkerson goes around, and yellow flag is out on the speedway.
10 laps to go, and yellow flag is thrown. It's time for a shootout. It's going to be around 5 to 6 laps to go, and we go green again. And Jonathan Jennings and Fitzpatrick, they got to be, luckily, they're going to be seeing the 98 on the inside row, because if we had seen Horn on the outside, I think this could have been a bigger threat for this next restart. But you got to hate to see that for Daniel Wilkerson, who was one of the drivers inside our top 5 for majority of the day. And luckily the drivers that are on the lead lap, very small field there. Only 7 drivers on the lead lap currently. It looks like he should be staying at around 7th place on this next restart.
That's a huge plus there on Wilkerson's side for sure. I mean, if we'd had a bunch of cars on the lead lap, he'd have lost a ton of spots and really took any shot of this race away from him. But still going to have a good chance here. You never know what could happen up front. It'll probably be restarting around that 7th position when we go back to green racing here.
The battling that got the 78 spun around was between Daniel Wilkerson, who was in 4th place, and Gary Clune. Wilkerson got loose right on the nose of the 45, and that's what spun out the 78. We'll be starting back in 7th position, but timing of this yellow going to be interesting. Also, Wilkerson, because of the cause of the yellow, EOL, so won't even start 7th. Going to have to start at the very end of the line. That's going to be even a harder pill to swallow for Wilkerson on this next restart. But Zach, the laps, they're ticking away. Going to be around 6 to 5 laps to go when we go green again. This is shootout time. You've got to make your move quickly, efficiently, but also recognize the way that these tires are feeling now, you can't really gas it up off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can't just gas it up. You will have those issues that we saw with Daniel Wilkerson. And for him, in the longest line, he's going to hope for maybe a caution, because now he's got the restart behind everybody. I mean, at least he will still be, somewhat in the battle for 7th, 8th position once it all starts to go green. But he's not going to have much of a chance to the drivers up farther ahead of him unless he gets a yellow flag to line him back up in the right position. But we'll see. What does Jennings do up front? He's been giving up the outside line here. It worked really well for him there. But if he does line up on the inside here, Sam, he allows Horn to be able to try to time it and maybe get ahead of Fitzpatrick. I'm almost considering here, if I'm Jennings, Sam, is trying to pin that 28 in front of the 98.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that might be the best way to try to stall each other out. Otherwise, if Horn does attack this restart, he could be in a spot where it might be a nose ahead of Fitzpatrick and then give it an opportunity. A lot of mind games here, and people hear from racing, sometimes I think it's just cars going around in circles, but these are those small little mind game opportunities that you have with having the lane choice as the leader. Is how do I help one driver but hurt another one on these restarts late in a race?
Exactly right. This is going to be an interesting decision. He's made it. Outside lane has been chosen by Jonathan Jennings, and I like that call. I really do. I think that's the right call to make. Get the jump on the outside. Don't allow that 98 to be on your rear bumper. You know how quick his car is on the short run. You don't want anywhere near you, because it just seems like that car really has this stability to go on the short run, where other guys kind of got to tiptoe those first few laps.
I'm excited for this restart. It's going to be 4 laps to go. Pace car pulls it into pit road. Hopefully you've been enjoying the Shoney's clash. I know the drivers have been enjoying it. As a great launch by the 91. Jonathan Jennings not waiting for anybody. And it's going to be seeing Gary Clune on the outside, able to battle for 2nd place. Horn going to be the biggest loser, but the 98 just stuck. Nowhere to go, as forcing Fitzpatrick forward. Clune's got to be careful here, but all up front, it's Jennings for now. But Fitzpatrick is right on that back bumper, and Horn slides, keeps it straight, hard to the wall, but we stay green with 3 laps to go.
Horn with his opportunity gone. Now it's Fitzpatrick's opportunity. He's looking to the inside of Jennings. Jennings just not got the fire-off speed that these guys have. Can Fitzpatrick put it to the back bumper?
These bumpers can be utilized. Clune's going to get loose off the exit of turn 4. Another driver goes around. I believe it's going to be 3 Skimia, who's going to be keeping it straight. We stay green with 2 laps to go. Jennings is looking for the white flag. Fitzpatrick is open for it as well, but we'll have a wreck off of 2, and it's Eric Warman sending us to overtime.
And man, oh man, that yellow right there is setting up for an interesting little battle once again, because Fitzpatrick had his number there, Sam. If we would have stayed with the green there, I think Fitzpatrick might have been in the best position available, but look, the 31 just trying to get a little too much, spins around into the inside wall, and Warman there after getting back on the lead lap, going around, just losing that rear end.
Almost a little identical wreck that we had for our second or third wreck of the day. As Warman backs up. Oh, wow, hard contact late. Skimia was not expecting the 31 to back up there. And those drivers added a little bit of extra damage before we get into overtime, as these drivers will have 2 attempts at overtime if needed. This could be the last restart, and Zaga up front. I mean, like I said, Fitzpatrick was there. I think he was just waiting for the white flag maybe to use the bumper to get the 91 out of shape. You could just sense that it was an opportunity to either get down there and push up the 91 or give the bumper. But it's looking like aggression might be the key here if you're going to get into victory lane.
I think you're right, because now with the shortened distance of a green-white checkered, he's not going to have as many laps to get the fire-off speed. He's going to have to quickly do this, Sam. So Fitzpatrick was in the perfect spot before. Now going to have to try to get back to that position once again, because I tell you what, he had him in the prime sights coming to the white. It's exactly where you want to be. That yellow flag just too early to bring this race to a green-white checkered. And now we'll get to see if he can do better on this restart. And the question is, what does Jennings do here? He doesn't have horn up front no more. Maybe does he go back to his bottom groove, or does he go again and slide it back up top?
I mean, so many different options that you can take here. I feel like that outside lane just gives so much more opportunities to take off, kind of with the unknowingness of the driver to get inside, but maybe Jennings just wanting to keep up that changing up, so you just never know where he's going to be, so you can't predict what's going to happen here. But with us being in overtime, the rules are pretty simple. In this first attempt, all goal for our leaders, get the white flag. If we get the white flag, this race becomes official, and the next flag that will be thrown will be the checkered. It's all about who crosses the line first. But if we get a yellow flag under this first lap, when we go back to this restart, we will go into our second attempt. That second attempt has slightly different rules, but for this first attempt, I know Jennings wants to get this race done, doesn't want to give another attempt to anyone else behind. And for the rest of the field, certainly they want every attempt possible. One driver, though, going to be added to the mix that have called it an evening, and that's going to be Michael Skimia, who is calling it a night after that late contact with 31 on this most recent yellow. And a total of 9 drivers on the lead lap. Well, I take that back, 8 drivers on the lead lap. Going to be seeing Jonathan Jennings, Fitzpatrick, Clune, Chris Leftwich up inside of our top. Going to be 5 is the 8 machine. They'll get Gentry's playing some games up there, as well as Daniel Leftwich and Eric Warman going to be up front, and Gary Armijo going to be up there. Drivers trying to save as much energy as they can, but this is our first attempt of 2 if needed into overtime. You're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series presented by Group 6. The Shoney's clash is underway for overtime. Jennings is gone. Fitzpatrick's not close enough. Clune's trying to pressure forward, but oh boy, Fitzpatrick got a huge run off the exit of the corner.
And he lost it all down the middle of the straightaway. It just broke loose. It was such a good run, and it just couldn't hold on to it. As now it's side by side as it comes to the line.
As Jonathan Jennings gets the run, drivers breaking loose on the front stretch, but up front it's all the 91, hard battling for second place. Another great launch for the 28 of Fitzpatrick. He's close enough if he wants to use the bumper, decides otherwise. Jonathan Jennings, oh, Fitzpatrick spins around, but it's the 91 of Jennings that will take the win for the Shoney's Clash to start out the 2024 season.
You gotta give it to Fitzpatrick there. Went for it, tried everything, and lost the car, going for the win. But the 91 of Jennings, too good here tonight. Fought them all off. Maybe didn't have the short run speed, but that long run speed was enough to get him out front and get him in position to win this race.
All the competition tried every little bit to try to get by this 91. But the most dominant driver, the past champion, Jonathan Jennings, proving that he is still a threat even into the new year, as the 91 burns it down and gets to enjoy this one As really, what a show by the field. And also kudos to our other drivers who will join in the top 3. You got Jonathan Jennings in the 91. Gary Kloon will come away with 2nd. And Chris Leftwich, caught up in so many wrecks, give a top 3 to the 8 machine. As when we come back, we'll talk to those top 3 and a spotlight driver, get their thoughts on tonight's race. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, presented by Group C. Tonight's race was the Shoney's Clash, the start of the 2024 season. Not a points race, but still great entertainment. As we head down to victory lane, we bring in the 91 machine of Jonathan Jennings, the most winningest driver in the Doghouse Racing League Series, and once again showing why he's the top dog to watch out for. Jonathan, congratulations on your win here tonight. Man, how are you feeling after this performance this evening?
Tired, sweating pretty bad.
Well, I definitely feel that, man. Definitely tired after that. This is Zach up here in the booth, Jonathan, man. Congrats on the win. With that, coming down with that yellow flag there at the end and it becoming a short run, were you a little bit worried there? It seemed like your strength was in the longer run.
Yeah, I got a little worried because I knew I think it's a 98. He was real good early in the run, and my teammate Seth there, he was giving me all kind of trouble, but it was a good race.
I mean, it was a blast for us to watch up in the booth. I mean, Jonathan, we saw you also have to work through traffic. How was that for yourself on a track that looked like it was so treacherous at moments off the exit of the corner, trying to also navigate lap traffic at that time?
It's tough, but the lap cars was very respectful and didn't give me a whole lot of trouble.
Well, like we said, a great run here this evening. A great preview, at least for us of the booth, of what you guys are going to bring this season. Congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
You guys for the broadcast, Daniel and all the admins for the doing this stuff every week, and the series sponsor, Shoney's and Group 6.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight for the Shoney's Clash. It's the 91 of Jonathan Jennings. Congratulations on this win. Good luck next week on qualifying for the Daytona.
Thank you.
As we move on from victory lane, we go down to second place, where it was very close, but it came down to a couple of mistakes from some drivers, and it gave an opportunity for Gary Clune to move up into second place. Gary, congratulations on second. How are you feeling after tonight's race? Because it looked like it was a hectic one at times.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. This is it's a technicality, but I'll take it. It was kind of confusing there at the end with the leader's choice, whether I was supposed to be inside or outside. I'm not sure, but on the restart there. But first top 3 I've gotten in this league, and I'm super stoked.
Definitely a great run, Gary, man. Congrats on that, not only, but do you think this bodes well for your short track package heading into the regular season?
Yeah, I believe so. I had some extra time this week on my hands to work on some setups here and figuring things out, and I think it worked out pretty well for me.
Well, Gary, we're trying to still get used to you guys as drivers. Saw that you were Rookie of the Year last season. How do you feel like you can carry from last season to this season and trying to get a better finishing order in the point standings?
Just keep building on what I've learned. My teammates have helped me out immensely. These guys are great. Keep learning from them. Keep pushing forward and minimize the mistakes. That's what it comes down to.
Well, we cannot wait to see how much you grow throughout the season here, Gary. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Thanks, guys. Just want to say thank you for the broadcast. You guys do a hell of a job. Daniel for putting this on once again. Love this league. And I didn't have any teammates out there tonight, but they were with me in spirit, and that's all that matters.
Did a great job this evening in that 45 machine. Second place finisher, going to be Gary Clune. Congratulations on second place, and good luck next week on trying to qualify for the Daytona 200.
Thanks, guys.
As we move on from second place, we do not have third place finisher of that of Chris Leftwich, but we're going to move down to our spotlight driver, the driver that really sent it there at the end, went from second down to 8th. We got Seth Fitzpatrick with us. Seth, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on a great run, an entertaining race here tonight for us. No, you were trying to go for that win, wasn't able to get it, but man, how are you feeling after your performance this evening?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely a good run, Seth. I tell you, man, it was a great battle between you and Jonathan up front. Coming down to that last, restart there, how did you feel like you were going to be able to get it done? I know you tried everything in your opportunity there, of course, but that yellow flag, the last yellow flag account, maybe you weren't the most fan of course, because you were in the prime opportunity. But do you think there was anything else you could have done to maybe get that victory?
Not hit the wall coming off of 2. When the car bounced and sent me into it, it changed the car completely. I'm surprised I didn't wreck it 2 corners before I did.
Honestly, I'm surprised that you kept together the next lap. It looked like it was out of control after that moment, but you did a great job holding on. Seth, we're excited to see what you're going to bring out for this season. What is the confidence level coming into a new season in 2024 for this next Gen Cup car?
I feel pretty good about it, which I've run the Cup car quite a bit, and we'll just have to see where it goes. But I feel pretty good about it.
We certainly will. Well, Seth, congratulations on a great performance here this evening. I know you didn't get the finish that you wanted, but you certainly made us keep an eye out on you throughout this season after that performance this evening. Before we officially let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Got to say thanks to Jonathan helping me out with a setup last minute. The one I had, it wasn't like it was a few days ago. But yeah, shout out to him and him get me in here.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to perform this season, Seth. Congratulations and good luck next week on qualifying for the Daytona race.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, after that, we finished ourselves out here with our interviews. It certainly was a crazy evening on seeing how these drivers have been running here tonight. But certainly, got to say, Zach, a performance that makes us excited on how these drivers are going to run here this evening.
It is definitely a wild one so far, man. That was a great race. Like, it had a lot of ebbs and flows. You had the cautions, of course, at the very, very beginning of the race. and then you had the really long green run, and then we had that wild battle down to the end with those couple yellow flags. But it really set up for an interesting finish for sure, man. I tell you, it's one of those things where I can't wait to see how this is going to all shake out from racetrack to racetrack, and who is going to figure out those little things with the setups throughout the season as they get prepared for Daytona these next 2 weeks. It's going to be interesting to see how they can get their super speedway package. But once we get to those first couple intermediate tracks and short tracks, it's going to be fun to see who's really rising to the top.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the fun thing. Again, we know that Jonathan Jennings is the top dog to watch out for, but will we see anyone try to elevate to catch up to that 91 machine? There's a couple of other drivers to watch out for that didn't show up here tonight, and we're going to be seeing them all showing up next week. And looks to be we might have a driver to pull in here with us. I believe that's going to be Christian Leftwich, that we're going to see if we can bring him up and see if we can talk to the 8 machine. Chris, it's Sam and Zach with the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Chris, you probably had the biggest up and down night of anyone. You got caught up in some early wrecks, then had to march your way forward, then got caught up in more incidences, and then ultimately a third place finish. How are you feeling after that type of a run tonight to start out 2024?
Very, very sweaty. I promise you that. I'm over here dying.
Definitely was a lot of work, I'd imagine, for you guys up here and Zach up in the booth. Chris, man, congrats again on the great run here for yourself tonight. But we've seen a lot of guys having trouble with the exit of those corners. Explain to us how hard it was to actually put the power down without spinning here tonight.
Oh, it was hard, man. You just got to get to heat the tires, especially probably about 5-6 laps into it. The car would really heat. The tires would really come in, and it can really accelerate off a turn. But in the first few laps, it was like on ice, man. I mean, you couldn't breathe on the gas pedal. It'd want to kill you.
I mean, it certainly did look wild from our point of view as well. And Chris, start of a new season. What are you hoping for this season for yourself? And how are you preparing for Daytona here in a few weeks?
I'm expecting a pretty good season this year. Last season, it didn't go so well for me. I had to miss a lot of the races due to internet issues and other sorts and computer issues, but I got them all dealt with, and I'm ready to go. I'm hoping I'll have at least a top 3 season this year because I'm hungry, man. I've been trying for 2 years now to get a win in this series and the Cup Series, and it's extremely hard.
I mean, it certainly looked like the competition in this series is wild, but man, tonight you certainly did prove that you are someone to watch out for. I think probably the funnest driver to watch tonight on your aggression to always get back what positions you lost. Excited for it, but before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I just want to thank Shoney's for sponsoring my car. I don't have a paint scheme for it. Since they switched to new car, I ended up losing my paint scheme. But Shoney's is my sponsorship, and Mike Leftwich is my dad. He's also he's one of the sponsors of the league and everything like that. I just want to give a shout out to him. He's not feeling well, and he's in a lot of pain, and he ran tonight, and he couldn't deal with it, so he had to back out. So I hope he's feeling better. And my sister, she's in the hospital as well, and I hope she gets better. And everybody seems to be getting messed up this time of year.
It certainly seems like it's the time of year for people to either get sick or hurt. We hope for the best for your family, though, Chris, for everyone to get better soon. And we hope for the best for your season coming up. Congratulations on third, and good luck next week on trying to get the best qualifying run before Daytona.
Appreciate it. Watch out for that 8 car. It'll be winning this year sometime.
Can't wait for it. That's going to be the 8 machine of Chris Leftwich coming away with a third place finish here tonight. Well, that's going to be our interviews of our top 3 and our spotlight driver of Seth Fitzpatrick back in 8th place. But what a race we got to see here this evening. Here's going to be your unofficial results after tonight's run. Winner goes to Jonathan Jennings in the 91 machine. Gary Clune going to come away in 2nd. Chris Leftwich sneaking with the 3rd, as well as Eric Warman. We looked at some of those last drivers to finish inside our top 5. Incredible rebounds by the 8 and the 31. Daniel Wilkerson going to get 5th. Gary Armejo going to be able to get that as 6th. What a rebound for the 7th. Really disappointing heat races, but the main event, survival was the key in 6th place for the 7 machine. Bill Gentry going to come away with 7th. 8th goes to Seth Fitzpatrick. Then the drivers are 1 lap down. Jamie Horn was never able to recover in 9th, and 10th place goes to Eric Anderson, as well as we let the rest of the field scatter through. Only 22 that of 19 drivers took the green, 22 registered in. But overall, Zach, certainly a race that showing off. This is going to be a fun season and drivers to watch out for on Thursday nights.
lots to learn for us, Sam, and I think a lot to learn for these drivers too as the season goes on. I mean, not only will the ebbs and flows of track to track, people finding stuff change, but also, we got iRacing updates that change everything sometimes. So you never know. We get that oval refresh update in here at some point. These guys are going to have to learn every little thing again about those setups, and we're going to get to be along for the ride right here with them live each and every Thursday night.
Excited for it, as well as other excitement to watch out for, as here's our upcoming schedules of what we have on our week-to-week so far. We're waiting on February 12th, the ISRC Truck Series coming back for more coverage. They went on a little bit of hiatus, but they are excited to come back for another season on Monday nights. Tuesday nights, we're still looking for a league. So if you're wanting to be broadcasted on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, you have a league on Tuesday nights, hit us up on our social medias on X, aka Twitter, and as well on Facebook. Our social media sites are the best way to get in contact with us if you'd like us to broadcast on your Tuesday evening. Wednesday nights, we're into the second half. It's crunch time. WSSR Cup Series and the Gen 4s have been incredible to watch. Last 2 races, only 1 caution has been thrown. Can we see if that streak can continue on into next Wednesday? We'll have to find out. And of course, now your new home on Thursday nights. It's going to be the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It was a pleasure to give you the clash here tonight, kind of the start of the 2024 season. Next week's going to be qualifying. We got actual time qualifying, 2 dual races to set the stage of who will have the pole, the front row, in racing for the beginning portions of the Daytona 200 as the drivers get ready for a brand new season. Zach, all the series that are coming together, it kind of feels like home. We're coming back to the full swing of having a week full of races. It's been weird just having one of WSSR, and also it's been weird not having you in the booth as often as we used to.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, this has been super fun for me. I've been waiting for my time to get back in, Coach, so I'm glad that we got put back in and we found some new leagues, and we're filling out our schedule, of course, because, of course, we have ISRC here again, of course, soon on Monday nights, and it's just going to be good to have that same flow again going here at Freaky Fast, getting you great new leagues and the ones we've had previously also meshing together. So it's fun to see how those melting pots of, our Freaky Fast community grow together, and drivers go from leagues to leagues, and certain ones drive differently or, join different leagues from watching throughout the weeks from their other leagues. So it's going to be fun to see, man, because always good to add new ones and always good to have old ones come back to.
It is always a joy to be giving you some racing coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And thank you so much to all those that joined with us. Also, a huge shout out to all the amazing sponsors that help out at the Doghouse Racing League, such as the title sponsor of Shoney for being the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the 2024 Season 1 season, and as well presented by Group 6 and working affiliated with Fanatics. If you'd like to go help out financially, go look up in the description for the Fanatic link to help any purchases you make. The commission goes straight to the league and as well to Group 6 for partnering up with the Doghouse Racing League. Thank you so much, everyone who joined with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that works at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on your Thursday night. It's been a pleasure. It's been a joy. A brand new league. Cannot believe that it's already here. But next week, it's not points racing just yet. It's the setup. It's to see how the drivers can get prepared for Daytona in 2 weeks. It's the duels, qualifying. Do not want to miss out. And if you want to see some racing action before then, don't want to miss out on Wednesday night. We're going to be seeing the WSSR Cup Series tackling at Pocono. The Tricky Triangle, going to be a fun one. Do not want to miss it, as that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast. We'll see you on our next one. Have a good night.